Yo, what up? What up? What up, friends?
UFC. I know we're gonna get into 306, the Noche, the Spear, right? This is all again revolving around. Usually, it used to before UFC started to compete with, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Used to revolve all around Canelo, the Mexicans, fight weekend, Independence Day fight weekend, all that good stuff. Before we get into that, there was a fight night last week, and I want to get your thoughts for our fans here before we get into 306. We had a couple of, the co-main and the main event that I just want to run through really quick. So the co-main event here was Jessica Andrade, who fought Natalia Silva. It was a decision. Natalia Silva won by decision. Now, obviously, these are two women headed on different career tracks right now, right? One is, Andrade starting to slide. You got Silva on the come up. So give me some quick thoughts on this fight.
Yeah, that card was basically changing of the guard type thing. You with the main event being Gilbert Burns and Brady and Jessica Andrade and Silva. So I mean, Andrade she's always gonna put on a good fight. She's fought the who's who, she submitted herself in the UFC as a great women competitor, but it's Silva's time. Andrade, she looked good, but it's about that time. And I can say hang it up, but she's taking that next step below to gatekeeper status, which isn't a bad thing. But she's heading down that path.
That's exactly what I was thinking. She's kind of headed on that gatekeeper kind of the veteran who has lost a step, maybe is starting to lose some fights here and there, and can be still a pillar of at least something to measure yourself against, a measuring stick, so to say.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned the other fight there, Gilbert Burns. Same kind of thing we're talking about here. He fought Sean Brady. How'd you feel about that fight? By the way, Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady won by decision. Excuse me.
Yeah, Gil Burns. I mean, he's 38 years old. He's been around the block quite a few times. Had some good fights with Kamaru Usman, even Khamzat Chimaev. He's the first one to really test Khamzat. I think it's the last fight in the USA, possibly. But Gilbert Burns, I mean, he even admitted it before the fight. This is probably it if he's going to possibly defend for a world title or fight for a world title, or kind of slide back down. And I mean, Sean Brady's good. He's out of Philly. He only had one loss. That loss was to Bilal Muhammad.
Remember the name.
Remember the name. The champion showed up a lot of stand up that fight. This fight was back and forth. I felt bad for both of them because both of them had two crucial below the belt shots on each other, and each of them, oh my God, I felt each one. I mean, it was like a toe knuckle to the gonads. It was like, yeah,
no,
I just like. Somewhere I saw a dove fainted. I think every time you get someone gets hit in the nuts like that, a dove faints. That's what I've heard from somewhere. But a dove just I guess if girls get hit in a pigeon faints. I don't know why it's a dove pigeon. Who knows? But anyways, it was a good back and forth fight. But Sean Brady, he is a big into like CrossFit and burning so many calories. Not triathlon, but he's a very active person, and his gas tank is going to stay up there. So. He took over Burns towards the end of that fight and took that over. It's funny, I actually watched that today. It's so hilarious.
Good. I'm glad because I know that you're always on top of your stuff, and I wanted to at least get your thoughts on that before we move to 306 because obviously those are some bigger names that people might know. So I just wanted to make sure we got your thoughts on last weekend's fight night. That being said, now let's get into this weekend's Noche at the Spear, the first UFC event at the Sphere, which we will get into all of that and what that actually means. But just in terms of the Sphere itself and the venue and the way that it's laid out, and I'm sure everybody at this point in time has seen pictures on the internet if you haven't been already. So it should be a spectacle, should be pretty awesome. There are some three main fights here really to talk about. And we'll get into them in just a second. But before we do that, what are your overall thoughts about UFC moving into the Sphere and doing an event there?
It's cool. I mean, I saw a special about how many TVs it has and how much it costs to keep that thing running and whatnot. It's it's a spectacle. It's pretty dope looking, but I'm eager to see how it looks from aesthetic point of view. Is it going to be similar to when Roy Jones fought at the what is a place where they had an NFL draft back in the day, the Music Hall in New York, and it kind of had the stage at the bottom where Roy Jones fought there, and that's when he had Redman and Method Man walking to the ring. Is it going to be basically the cage way in the beginning, way at the bottom, and everyone's just projecting up? It's going to be cool to look at, but if I was on the outside of the Sphere, I'd be kind of pissed that they're not showing the fight on the damn dome. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't pay a ticket to go up in there, I walk by it. He's like, "Oh, UFC, where at?" You can't see. Pay a ticket, buddy. But I wonder how the people on the outside are going to do, because those ticket prices are man. Beyonce even said they're high.
I mean, that's exactly what they're going to do. If you don't have a ticket, you're going to be left out in the rain wondering what's happening. And those tickets are very expensive. The nosebleeds, when I checked, were going for like $400, $450 just for a nosebleed ticket. So I said nope, not going to do it, because I was actually thinking about
$3,000. They're trying to resell for some like mid-level just to get up in there $3,000. I said, for who? Shout them out? Oh no, we're okay.
Yeah, ain't gonna be able to do it. Not gonna be able to do it.
I'm okay on that.
All right, so let's get into the three main bouts here. First, we have was supposed to be a fight a few months ago, but an injury took out Brian Ortega. So now we have this fight coming up again at 145. Yes, sir. The featherweights. We have 16-3 Brian Ortega taking on 25-6 Diego Lopez. My friend, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I'm a big fan of Brian Ortega. He trains with Nick and Nate Diaz. He's a Cali kid. He's very good with jiu-jitsu, but he just doesn't fight that much. He's kind of similar to two of the boxers that I'm gonna go over on the Canelo card. It's just his activity rate is just not as where it should be. He puts on great fights. That Yadir Rodriguez fight was very good in Mexico. But Diego Lopez, this kid ain't no joke, man. This kid is legit. And I'm thinking Lopez can get him up out of there. Forgot it's been a while. It's been a while. Let's get that thing ready. I'm gonna go up.
Clubs.
Third club. I think slow as hell. Third round knockout. Diego can get up out of here.
Third round knockout for Diego Lopez.
Or I'm not, I wasn't doing a caveat, maybe submission by Ortega because he has a great ground game, Pauls. But I'm definitely going to go with Diego Lopez because they're transitioning in careers. I think Diego's starting to move up in the ladder. People are starting to notice how good he is, and he's rocking that mullet too, which has become fashionably trendy nowadays. But whatever, that's another story. But so I'm going with Diego Lopez right there. Bam.
There we go.
I would say you heard it here first, but that's another trendy line everyone's using, so I can't say that.
Yeah. Don't
be original.
Definitely don't do that. Yeah. So again, it's something where you mentioned it. Someone doesn't fight a lot. Someone is a little bit, older, not in as much fighter mode all the time, and that can definitely hurt you when it comes to these sorts of fights. So, all right, cool. Moving on to the co-main event, UFC Women's Flyweight Champion. We're going to have Alexa Grasso, who is going to have a very, very tough challenge here. She's 16-3-1, the Mexican, but she goes up against Hall of Famer, undoubtedly, legend. And her record is, I missed my screen there, 23-4-1, Valentina Shevchenko. Wow, we've loved her for a long time, but Alexa Grasso, everyone really loves her fighting style, and she's a good fighter. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, Alexa, she's pride fighting out of Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, just like someone else we're going to talk about later on. They're representing big time. Like, if you look at this card, I think besides the main event, which is weird, I think there's a Mexican fighter in every fight this card. It's obviously they're catering to the Mexican fans as they should on Mexican Independence Day. But besides the main event, I think every person's fighting is a Mexican fighter being represented in this card, which is amazing. This is the rubber match. In the first fight, Grasso won. The second fight was a draw. Now we're at 3. Grasso's younger. She's a little more hungrier. Valentina, the Bullet. I mean, this one was one of the best female Muay Thai fighters back in the day, a couple years ago, prior to joining the UFC. She's fought a who's who. She's the greatest flyweight champion of all time, women's flyweight champion. She's had 7 title defenses of that belt. So she's basically the Amanda Nunes of her division. And her fights with Amanda Nunes could have gone. She lost by split decision. I think it's the first one. It could have gone either way. So she's one of the greatest female fighters there is. However, at age 36, how much does she have left in the tank? Okay, I just said this about Gilbert Burns, about Jessica Andrade. How much is left in the tank? She always comes to fight. Don't get me wrong, but there's always a certain point where it's just not there no more. Okay, you look at all the great fighters. Some bow down in grace, some go down before it gets too messy. With that being said,
Clubs, bangers. Clubs, bangers.
She's getting that belt back. I think it's going to be a 5-round decision. I think she's going to outpoint her. She's going to outwork her. Grasso, I think, is going to lose that belt. I think. I'm sorry, Alexa Grasso. I mean, these two fighters, they are the coaches on the Ultimate Fighter show right now, so they're being seen by everybody. But I got a feeling that Valentina is gonna get her on this one. I don't think she's gonna knock her out. I think she's gonna outpoint her and get the decision. That's what I'm going with. You take that to the bank. Don't cash unless you win, and give me $5 from it. That's all I'm saying.
Wow! First of all, love that. You know how much I love Valentina and how much of a G I think she is. So her getting her belt back makes me happy. Not that I don't like Grasso and the win that she had. That was, really important for the Mexican heritage and the Mexican community and all that. But I really like Shevchenko and the way she fights. So I would be happy to see that. So good. Well, at least in my eyes, a good prediction there. Let's get to the main event of the evening. And as you mentioned, the only there's actually 2 fights. Just as one correction, you were right for the most part. Most of the fights I looked are all Mexicans, except remember, Diego Lopez is from Brazil, not Mexico. So,
well, Brian Ortega, Mexican heritage. He's from.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's
an American.
Okay, we'll take that. The judges. Yes, the judges will accept Mexican American heritage. I like it. All right, main event 135, the UFC Bantamweight Championship. Merab Dvalishvili, excuse me, I practiced it earlier, so I got close. Dvalishvili is 17-7. I know, I figured I'd mess it up. I tried though.
That was Wale.
Dvalishvili. There you go.
Let's call him the machine. It's called the machine.
The machine, 17-4 versus Sean O'Malley, Sugar Sean, 18-1. The champion, obviously, he defended his belt a few months ago and is being brought back now. He is not Mexican, but aside from, there was actually an article that came out today. I was going to ask you this later as my personal question in the mailbag, but I guess I might as well enter it in here now. But there was an article that came out today where Sean O'Malley was basically proclaiming himself the face of UFC since Conor McGregor doesn't fight enough. And I mean, honestly, with Dana White putting him in this position, it's hard to kind of argue that he is at least at the top of the ladder rung, and maybe not the top, but he's up there. And so he said Conor was still the top, but if Conor didn't come back and fight, then he would be. So that's what the article was all about. Anyways, what are your thoughts on this huge fight?
First, we'll start with him being a face. I don't know. I mean, they do parade him out there a lot. He's done some boxing commentary. He commentated the Nate Diaz against Jorge Masvidal. He's one of the commentators with Sean Porter and the other gentleman. I know he's partnered with the Nelk Boys and does those Happy Dad, whatever beer. He's part of that. Does those commercials. he was with the Arizona Cardinals recently, taking pictures of Kyler Murray and all the rest of it. So they do parade him out there to try to get his name out there. I don't know if he'll be a household name. I'm not too sure. He's getting there. I don't think Samantha going to Wegmans on a Thursday knows who he is yet. You know what I'm saying?
Nope,
like,
sure don't.
I know Margaret going to Food Line, they probably know who John Jones is, but I don't think if Samantha knows who Sean O'Malley is yet. But he's getting there. I think the younger crowd is really feeling him. He's a good fighter. I mean, he came into the game getting the biggest big up in that Contender Series when he got that knockout, and Snoop Dogg was commentating. Was like, oh, sugar, just sizing him up. And since then, he's used that to progress his career, and you look at it like this guy's had 13 fights in the UFC, and he has 8 KOs out of 13 fights. Out of those 13 fights, he has 9 performance or fight of the night. So that tells you that he puts on a show. So people do like seeing him. I would be eager to see what the numbers are for his pay-per-view, because he's, headlining this one. So I like to see, what are the numbers, are people buying his stuff. So that kind of shows you who the face is when it comes to the popularity. I'm a big fan of Sean O'Malley. I think he's a very good fighter, but he's similar to a John Jones, where it's a unicorn. Why is it? Why? Because it's a unicorn. Because he's 5'11", fighting at what, 135 or something like that. So he's very tall and lanky for that weight class, because a lot of those guys are a lot shorter. So I'm thinking he's gonna always have that benefit. Only fight that was kind of wishy-washy for me is when he fought Peter Yan. Actually thought he lost that fight, but they gave him the nod. Even he was surprised when they raised his hand. With this fight with a Merab Dvalishvili, the machine, he's not gonna knock you out. Okay, they call him a machine because he's nonstop pressure. He's gonna try to take you down, ground and pound you. You know what I'm saying? That's his style. With his height, he could probably get inside on O'Malley. So I'm wondering how he's gonna approach this fight, because when he fought Peter Yan, who's a striker, he was tagging him. You know what I'm saying? A lot of spin kicks to the body, doing things like that. Merab is gonna wrestle him because he's training partners with Aljamain Sterling. We all know about the whole jacket. And what are you doing? The whole jacket incident. We got a close up of your shaggy beard there, sir.
Sorry about
we
that.
had you got my train thought. What are you doing over there? But yeah. So when Aljamain got in the cage, and then he took his jacket and he had that little Michael Jackson jacket running around the cage, and it was always the beef right there. So I'm liking this fight. I've always wanted this fight to happen. A lot of people are thinking Sean O'Malley is going to run straight through him. I don't think so. Merab's fought some real good people. He's not a big knockout artist. I only think he has like 3 or 4 knockouts, but he did a great knockout against Marlon Moraes. He's fought Aldo. He's fought Jan. He's fought Triple C, Henry Cejudo. And he's put on great performances against all those good fighters. So you can't just write this guy off. Sean O'Malley, he's going to have to use his length. He's going to have to box him, keep him at bay. He cannot let him get inside. If he gets inside, he's going to take him down. Sean O'Malley's wrestling is not that great. It's not on the level of Merab's. If Aljamain would have stuck to the game plan, he probably would have had Sean O'Malley, because Sean O'Malley had a knee injury for that fight anyways. And, he went to the upper room in the second round when he got him with that 2-piece. Yeah, it wasn't that good. But I want to say for this one, this is people. It's a tough one.
Clubs banger.
I'm still going with Sean O'Malley. He's going to get him up out of there. I think 4th round knockout, Sean O'Malley's going to take him out. But I'm going to caveat this one, okay? Mm-hmm. If it goes the distance, Merab wins. If it goes the distance, he will win, because that means it'll be kind of like Bilal Muhammad going against Leon Edwards. It's going to be a ground and pound, very slow fight. However, if it stops early at any time with a knockout, Merab's not going to knock him out. It's going to be Sean O'Malley winning by knockout. I don't see Sean O'Malley winning by decision. I see him winning by knockout. But I will caveat that, kind of like I did Bilal Muhammad Leon Edwards fight. If it goes the distance, then Merab will win by decision. Okay, bam, there you go. See you at the bank. If I win, take your money.
You know what? I'm so glad that you mentioned that Bilal Muhammad Leon Edwards fight, because when I was going through our notes for the show, as we do, and making sure that we have our stuff ready and our knowledge good on these fighters and everything. The only thing that kept coming back to me when I was reading up on this fight was that fight that happened. And I was like, man, I can so see Merab, or the Machine as he's called, very much so winning a decision here. similar in that vein as was done in that fight. And so since for some reason that's really all I could think of when I was reading up on this fight. And yes, Sean O'Malley is a very exciting fighter. He's a great fighter. I'm going with Merab. I'm going with Merab in a decision. So I'm gonna back up your clever caveat, and that is gonna be my my professor pick.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those fights that can go either way. What up, Troy? What up, Bajo? It's one of those. So like Murat, he's a very good fighter, but he's pressure. And if you see the fight when he fought Henry Cejudo, who's a Olympic wrestler, okay, and a 2-division champion in the UFC, he got him on that. So he's gonna bring the pressure. And I think Sean O'Malley, with his length, it's gonna be tough to get the short guy up off you. Pause. So if he gets in close, it might just be one of those ground and pound, ragdoll type fights. It's like Leon Edwards against Bilal Muhammad, but Bilal stood up. His stand-up game was a little better than expected fighting Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards just came in flat, but that could have been the fact that they're fighting in the UK at like 5, 6 in the morning, basically adhering to America's time instead of us adhering to their time with their champion. Make it make sense, but whatever. It's all good. Yeah. This is card. I feel like, to be honest with you, I love the concept that they're trying to do. I love that Turkey Alex Sheik is sponsoring this card that we'll get into here in a second. I know why he's doing it. I'll explain here to counteract Canelo. But it's showing respect to your fans. You know what I'm saying? They have a big Mexican following. They got a lot of Mexican fighters. So why not do something on Mexican Independence Day for those fighters and those people? So I'm all for it. It's a good concept, good card. It's just that you're going against a juggernaut and Canelo Alvarez. So I'm eager to see what the numbers are, but they've done this before when they had when Al Heyman, well, I would say Al Heyman sabotaged, but when they had Earl Spence and Bud Crawford fight, and they also had a UFC card the same night when Pereira went against Pekovic, when his first fight at 205. So this has happened before where UFC and boxing have been on at the same time. I think it's kind of productive, but it kind of shows you who's the big dog. And most likely this time, I think UFC is not going to win this one. I think it's going to be boxing. That's my humble opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, as you mentioned, last year this exact situation happened, and we wondered and talked about it on the same exact program. Why would UFC try to encroach on what has normally been the boxing weekend in Vegas and one of the most known boxing weekends of the year? But Dana White doesn't care about those sorts of things. He is clearly just a businessman that is trying to make as much money as possible. And, in a capitalist society, shout out to him for that. But at the same time, you're gonna win sometimes, you're gonna lose sometimes. If you believe that they're gonna bite the bullet this weekend, and that's what they're gonna have to do. But they are encroaching on previously held territories, so they're the ones that have to accept the risk that comes along with that.
Well, cool. They're also
let's move on into boxing.
Boxing has been approaching on a lot of things since Floyd Mayweather fighting on my birthday weekend, which always kind of ruins it. So, they need to stop doing that. Cinco de Mayo, that's my birthday weekend. Do it again when y'all gonna see me in the streets. I don't know what streets you can see me though. I might just wave. That's it. But you know what I'm saying? Just do it the weekend after. Let me have
that
fun.
Also happened the last 2 years in a row. So can't foresee that happening, my friend. Probably gonna.
No, it's been happening since Florida. They've been killing me.
So now we'll get into more in the mailbag about what that actually means in terms of money wise and gate and stuff like that.